The medical station floated in the darkness of space like a silver wheel spinning slowly against the stars. Sung stood at the observation window and watched the planet below. It was a neutral world, chosen carefully for this moment. The first official meeting between humans and the Galactic Union. "Ambassador," said Hana from behind him, "they are ready for us." Sung turned to face his colleague. Hana was one of the best Earth had to offer. She carried a tablet in her hands and wore the same simple gray uniform as him. Today, they represented all of humanity. "How do I look?" Sung asked with a small smile. "Like a man about to make history," Hana replied. "Try not to trip." They walked together through the curved hallways of the station. The walls were made of some smooth material that Sung did not recognize. Everything smelled clean but strange, like chemicals mixed with something organic. Other species moved past them, and Sung tried not to stare. There were creatures with shells covering their bodies. Others had scales that shone under the lights. Some walked on 4 legs, some on 6. All of them had one thing in common. They were protected, armored, built to survive. The examination room was large and bright. In the center stood the medical director. Wazen, standing on 4 legs with 2 arms folded across a chest covered in thick brown chitin. His eyes were compound, showing no emotion that Sung could read. "Welcome, humans," said. His voice came through a translator device on his chest. I will oversee your biological assessment today." "Thank you for having us," Sung replied. He bowed his head slightly. "We are honored to be here." Stood in the corner watching was Reptilian, covered from head to tail in green scales that looked as hard as stone. He said nothing, but his yellow eyes followed every movement the humans made. "Please remove your upper garments," instructed. "We must scan your physical structure." Sung and Hana did as they were told. Sung heard a sharp intake of breath from somewhere in the room. He looked around and saw several alien assistants staring at them with what looked like horror. Moved closer, his compound eyes seemed to widen somehow. "This is your skin?" he asked. "Yes," Hana answered. "Human skin, it covers our entire body." "It is so thin," said. He reached out with one armored claw and gently touched Sung's arm. "I can see the blood vessels beneath. There is no protection here, no shell, no scales, no plates." "We have skin and muscle," Hana explained, "and bones underneath." "The bones are inside," one assistant asked in disbelief. "Yes, our skeleton is internal." Stepped back and turned to his assistants. "Begin the full scan, document everything." The next hour was uncomfortable. Machines moved around them, taking images and measurements. Sung stood still and tried to remain calm. He could hear the aliens talking among themselves in hushed voices. He caught words through the translator: fragile, vulnerable, soft. When the scans were complete, studied the results on a large screen. His posture changed. He seemed disturbed. "This cannot be correct," said. "Your species has no natural armor. Your skin can be cut by almost anything. Your bones, while strong, can break under moderate pressure. You have no protective membrane over your vital organs. Your eyes are exposed. Your throat is unguarded." "That is accurate," Hana said calmly. "How did your species survive?" asked. The question was not rude. It was genuine confusion. "How did you become a space-faring civilization without natural protection? Any predator should have hunted you to extinction." Sung smiled slightly. "We had other advantages." Finally spoke. His voice was deep and rough. "I see no advantages here. I see a species that should not exist. You are soft, breakable. One strike from a thornback would kill you instantly." "We have never met a thornback," Sung replied, "but I understand your concern." "Concern?" Moved closer, his scales catching the light. "I am not concerned, I am confused. The Union accepted your application for membership because of your technology, your ships, your communications. but looking at you now, I wonder how you built any of it." Hana stepped forward. "If I may, physical armor is only one form of protection. Humans developed other ways to survive, such as tools, medicine, cooperation. Our lack of natural armor forced us to think, to build, to work together." Made a sound that might have been a laugh. Pretty words, but words do not stop claws. An assistant approached Sung with a bundle of fabric. "Please, human, take this protective covering. It will help keep you safe while you are on the station. We would not want you to be injured by accident." Sung looked at the offering. It was a kind of padded suit, designed for species even more fragile than humans appeared to be. He took it politely and nodded his thanks, though he had no intention of wearing it. Hana was making notes on her tablet. Sung saw her frown slightly. "Something wrong?" he asked quietly. "Their assessment," she whispered back. "They skipped entire categories. They measured our armor, our natural weapons, our defensive features. They found nothing because they were looking for the wrong things." "What do you mean?" Before Hana could answer, a loud alarm split the air. Red lights began flashing along the walls. Moved quickly to a communication panel, his 4 legs carrying him faster than Sung expected. "Report," commanded. A panicked voice came through the speaker. "Hull breach in the lower sector. Toxic atmosphere flooding levels 12 through 15. We have workers trapped down there." The room erupted into motion. Alien assistants rushed toward the doors, spoke rapidly into his own communicator, shouted orders that Sung could not follow. "How long until rescue teams arrive?" asked. 3 hours minimum. The toxic levels are too high. Our protective suits cannot handle that environment for more than a few minutes." "What about the workers?" Silence, then quietly, "They will not survive 3 hours." Sung stepped forward. "What is happening to the workers trapped below?" Turned to him. For a moment they seemed to have forgotten the humans were there. "There was an accident. A section of the station is filling with gas that is poison to most species. Our workers are trapped. By the time we can safely reach them, they will be dead." "Can you not send someone now?" "No species on this station can survive that atmosphere for long enough to reach them," said. "The gas destroys lung tissue. It burns through organic material. Even with armor, the exposure time would be fatal." Sung looked at Hana. She met his eyes and gave a small nod. "How long would someone need to be in the gas to reach the workers?" Sung asked. "Perhaps 4 minutes, but no one can hold their breath that long while performing physical rescue work." Sung began rolling up his sleeves. "Show me where they are." Every alien in the room stopped moving, stared at him with those compound eyes, actually took a step backward. "Human," said slowly, "did you not hear? The atmosphere will kill you. You have no protection. You are soft." Sung looked at the reptilian and smiled. It was not a happy smile. It was the smile of a man who had survived worse. "Show me where they are," he repeated. "I will bring them out." The elevator descended into the damaged section of the station. Sung watched the floor numbers change on the display. 12, 13, 14. The air was already getting warmer. He could smell something sharp and chemical through the sealed doors. Stood beside him, along with 2 armored security officers. They had insisted on coming this far, though they would go no further. "Human," said, "I must ask you one more time. Do you understand what you are doing?" "I understand that people are dying," Sung replied. "That is all I need to understand. The gas will burn your lungs, your skin, your eyes. Even if you survive, the damage may be permanent. Then I will deal with that later." The elevator stopped. Through the small window in the door, Sung could see a haze of yellow-green gas filling the corridor beyond. Warning lights flashed in the mist. Somewhere in that poison cloud, workers were waiting to die. "The trapped workers are approximately 200 meters down this corridor," explained. "Turn left at the junction, then continue straight. There are 7 of them, is among them. He is young, an avian. Please try to save him if you can save anyone." Sung nodded. He took several deep breaths, filling his lungs with clean air. He had done this before in different circumstances. Burning buildings, collapsed mines, places where the air was death and the only way forward was through. "Open the door," he said. Human Weight placed one armored claw on Sung's shoulder. "Why are you doing this? You do not know these workers. They are not your species. They are strangers." Sung looked at them. "On Earth, we have a saying, a stranger is just a friend you have not met yet." He pulled free and faced the door. "Open it now." The door slid open. The gas rushed in like a wave, and Sung rushed out to meet it. The world became yellow and burning. Sung kept his eyes nearly closed, seeing just enough to move forward. The gas stung his skin like thousands of tiny needles. He could feel it trying to get into his nose, his mouth, his lungs. He held his breath and ran. 200 meters. He counted his steps. The corridor was filled with debris from the hull breach. Pieces of metal and broken equipment blocked his path. He climbed over them, pushed through them, kept moving. His lungs began to burn, not from the gas but from the need for air. His body screamed at him to breathe. His chest felt tight. His vision started to blur at the edges. 100 meters. He could see the junction ahead. He turned left and kept going. The workers were huddled in a small room at the end of the corridor. They had sealed the door, but the seal was failing. Gas was leaking in through cracks. 7 beings of different species pressed against the far wall, their eyes wide with fear. Sung hit the door release and stumbled inside. The room had slightly less gas than the corridor. He allowed himself one quick breath. It burned like fire going down, but it was enough to keep him conscious. "I am here to help," he gasped. "Who can walk?" 5 of them could walk. One had a broken leg, and there was small, covered in blue feathers that were now stained with blood. His wing was twisted at an angle that made Sung's stomach turn. His leg was crushed beneath a fallen beam. He was barely conscious. "Leave me," whispered. "Save the others." "No one gets left behind," Sung said. He turned to the others. "Everyone who can walk, follow me. Stay close. Hold your breath as long as you can. Move fast." He lifted the beam off's leg. It was heavy, heavier than anything he had lifted before. His muscles screamed in protest, but he lifted it and he pulled free. The young avian weighed almost nothing in his arms. Sung cradled him against his chest and started moving back toward the elevator. The 5 walking workers followed, helping the one with the broken leg. The return journey was worse. Sung's lungs were on fire now. Every step sent pain shooting through his body. The gas was eating at his skin, leaving red marks wherever it touched. His eyes streamed with tears that did nothing to ease the burning. But he did not stop. He could not stop. There were lives depending on him. 100 meters, 150. The elevator was ahead. He could see through the haze, standing at the open door, compound eyes wide with disbelief. Sung stumbled through the door and collapsed to his knees. The others poured in behind him, slammed the door shut, and clean air began flowing into the elevator. "Medical team to elevator 7, shouted into his communicator. "Multiple casualties, including the human." Sung lay on the floor, gasping. Each breath was agony. His skin felt like it was on fire, but he was alive, and so were the workers. Stirred in his arms, the young avian looked up at him with golden eyes. "You came for us," he said weakly. "Why?" "Because you needed help," Sung answered. "That is reason enough." The elevator reached the upper level, and medical teams rushed in. They took the workers away on floating stretchers. Someone tried to take from Sung's arms, but the human refused to let go until they reached the medical bay. Hana was waiting there. Her face went pale when she saw Sung. His skin was red and blistered. His eyes were swollen. He looked like he had walked through hell. "You fool," she said softly, but there was pride in her voice. They are alive, Sung said. All 7 of them. And you almost died. Almost does not count. The medical staff tried to treat him, but Sung waved them away. There were others who needed help more. He sat on a bench and watched as Hana moved among the wounded, helping where she could. She worked for 6 hours straight. No breaks, no rest. She treated burns and broken bones. She held the hands of frightened patients. She translated for species who could not understand the medical staff. Watched her from across the room. His compound eyes followed her movements with growing confusion. She has not stopped, he said to one of his assistants. Human bodies require rest. She should have collapsed by now. Perhaps she is running on emergency reserves, the assistant suggested. For 6 hours, no species can do that. But Hana kept going. And when she finally finished, when every patient had been treated and every wound had been cleaned, she simply sat down next to Sung and closed her eyes. You were amazing, Sung told her. I was doing my job, she replied without opening her eyes, just like you. Entered the medical bay. His scales seemed duller somehow, his posture less aggressive. He stopped in front of the 2 humans and stood there in silence for a long moment. I do not understand, he finally said. The human should not have survived that environment. He should not have been able to carry that weight while holding his breath. And this one, he gestured at Hana, should not have been able to work for so long without rest. Humans are not as fragile as we appear, Sung said. So it seems, turned to leave, then stopped. The workers you saved are awake, is asking for you. He wants to thank the soft one who carried him to safety. After left approached them. The medical director looked troubled. I have been a doctor for 40 cycles, said. I have treated hundreds of species. I thought I understood biology. But today, I watched a creature with no natural armor walk into poison, carry 7 beings to safety, and survive. I watched his companion work without rest until every patient was stable. We are human, Sung said simply. Yes, but what does that mean? Leaned closer. What are humans truly? Because I no longer believe you are fragile. I no longer believe you are soft. Sung smiled. His face hurt, his lungs hurt, everything hurt, but he smiled. Perhaps, he said, you have been measuring the wrong things. Was silent for a long moment. Then he straightened and spoke with new determination. I am requesting permission to conduct additional testing, complete biological assessment. I want to understand how you did what you did today. Sung looked at Hana. She opened her eyes and gave a small nod. We will cooperate, Sung said. Study us, measure us. Maybe then you will understand. Understand what? Sung stood, ignoring the pain in his battered body. That armor is not the only way to survive, and soft does not mean weak. 1 week had passed since the accident. Sung's skin had healed, leaving only faint pink marks where the burns had been. The doctors could not explain it. Tissue that should have taken months to repair had regenerated in days. Now he stood in the Union Research Facility, surrounded by machines and scientists. Led the team. Dr. Pell, an amphibian specialist with smooth blue skin and large dark eyes, recorded every detail. Watched from an observation deck above, his yellow eyes never leaving the humans. We will begin with temperature tolerance, announced. Human, please step into the environmental chamber. The chamber was a clear box, large enough for 1 person to stand inside. Sung entered and the door sealed behind him. Hana monitored his vital signs from outside. Starting at standard galactic temperature, said, 20 degrees, now increasing. The chamber grew warm, then hotter still. Sung felt sweat forming on his skin, but he remained standing. The temperature display climbed, 40 degrees, 50, 60. This is the lethal threshold for most oxygen-breathing species, Dr. Pell noted. The human should be experiencing organ failure. Sung wiped sweat from his forehead. I am uncomfortable, he said through the speaker, but I am fine. The temperature continued to climb. 70 degrees, 80. Finally, at 90 degrees, stopped the test. Remarkable, they said. He remained functional at temperatures that would kill in minutes. Now let us test the cold. The chamber cooled rapidly. The heat vanished, replaced by freezing air. Frost formed on the walls. Sung's breath came out in white clouds. He wrapped his arms around himself but stayed on his feet. 0 degrees, -10, -20. At this temperature, blood crystallizes, Dr. Pell said quietly. Their cells rupture and they die. Sung was shivering hard, but he was still standing, still alive. How? Demanded from above. How is he not dead? Humans regulate their internal temperature, Hana explained. Our bodies work constantly to maintain a stable core temperature. We can survive extreme conditions that would kill other species because our systems adapt. The test ended at -30 degrees. Sung emerged from the chamber blue-lipped but smiling. What is next? He asked. The next test involved a machine that measured bone density and flexibility. Dr. Pell examined the results with growing disbelief. The bone structure is extraordinary, she said. It is both rigid and flexible. It bends under pressure instead of shattering immediately. And look at this. She pointed to a scan on her screen. Previous fractures. These bones have broken before and healed completely. There is no weakness at the break points. In fact, the healed areas are slightly stronger than the original bone. Humans heal, Hana said simply. Our bones, our skin, our muscles. Given time, we repair almost any damage. But the speed of this repair, interjected. Humans suffered severe chemical burns 7 days ago. He should still be in medical care. Instead, he is standing here fully functional. We recover quickly. It is how we survived on Earth. Leaned forward in his observation seat. Tell us about Earth. Why does your planet create creatures like you? Hana stepped to a display screen and brought up images of Earth. Blue oceans, green forests, towering mountains, vast deserts. Earth is what the Union classifies as a Category 7 death world, she began. High gravity compared to galactic average. Extreme temperature variations between seasons and regions. The atmosphere contains oxygen, which is corrosive to many species. Our star bombards the surface with radiation. And the wildlife. She changed the image to show predators. Lions, sharks, bears, wolves. These are some of the creatures humans lived alongside. They have claws, teeth, venom, size, speed. Every advantage evolution could give them. And humans have none of these, observed. Correct, we had nothing. No armor, no claws, no venom. So we evolved differently. We evolved to endure, to heal, to keep going when everything else would stop. The next test made even Sung nervous. It was a pain tolerance assessment using controlled electrical stimulation. Sensors were attached to his arm, and gradually increasing shocks were applied. Most species reach their threshold at level 3, Dr. Pell explained. At level 5, the nervous system typically forces unconsciousness as a protective measure. Sung gritted his teeth as the levels increased. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. How are you still conscious? Dr. Pell asked. Mind over body, Sung said through clenched teeth. Humans can override our pain responses when necessary. We can force ourselves to function even when our bodies are telling us to stop. The test ended at level 9. Sung was pale and shaking, but he had never lost consciousness. This explains the rescue, said slowly. He walked through toxic gas, carried victims, and did not stop even as his body was being destroyed. Most species would have collapsed from pain alone. There is more, Hana added. During times of extreme stress, human bodies release chemicals that increase strength, speed, and endurance while suppressing pain. We call it adrenaline response. In dangerous situations, humans become temporarily stronger and more resistant than normal. The final physical test measured blood loss tolerance. It was simulated rather than actual. using a carefully calculated formula based on Sung's body mass. According to our calculations, announced, humans can lose up to 40% of their blood volume and remain conscious. Functional, even. Most species lose consciousness at 15% and die at 25%. We are hard to kill, Sung admitted. Our ancestors had to be. Earth did not allow weakness. Descended from the observation deck. His scales seemed to ripple with tension as he approached the humans. I have heard enough, he said. This changes things. How so? Hana asked. You came to us appearing weak, fragile, harmless. You have no claws, no scales, no venom. We looked at you and saw prey. He stopped directly in front of Sung. But you are not prey, are you? You are something else entirely, something that survived a death world by becoming impossible to kill. We survived by being smart and working together, Sung corrected. Our resilience is just one part of it. Is it? Turn to. What happens if a species this durable decides to become aggressive? They can survive wounds that would kill our soldiers. They can function in environments our troops cannot enter. They can push through pain that would incapacitate any warrior in the Union. We are not warriors, Hana said firmly. We are explorers, scientists, diplomats. For now, walk toward the exit. I must report these findings to the Council. They need to know what kind of species is asking to join the Union. After he left, turned to the humans with something like concern in his posture. He is afraid of you, the medical director said. He sees you as a threat. We are not a threat, Sung replied. Perhaps not intentionally, but you must understand how this appears. A species that cannot be easily killed, that recovers from damage that would be fatal to others, that can function under conditions that would disable any soldier in the galaxy. Paused. The Council will have questions. They will want to know what humans intend to do with these abilities. Hana met the compound eyes. What do humans do with our resilience? We build, we create, we protect. Every advance in human civilization came because someone refused to give up. Someone kept going when it seemed impossible. That is a beautiful answer, said. I hope the Council believes it. Sung stepped forward. What else do you need from us? What other tests? Was quiet for a moment, then he spoke carefully. The Council has requested one final assessment, not physical this time, psychological. They want to understand the human mind, how you think under pressure, how you make decisions when everything is falling apart. When? Hana asked. Tomorrow, rest tonight. You will need your strength. As they left the facility, Sung looked up at the stars visible through the station's observation dome. Somewhere out there, the Council was deciding humanity's fate, deciding if they were partners to be welcomed or threats to be contained. Do you think they will accept us? He asked Hana. I think they are afraid, she replied. And fear makes people do foolish things. All we can do is show them who we truly are. And hope that is enough. It will have to be. The council chamber was enormous. It stretched upward like the inside of a cathedral, with seats arranged in rising tiers around a central platform. Representatives from dozens of species filled those seats, their eyes and sensors and other organs of perception all focused on the two humans standing below. Sung had never felt so small. Elder Moss presided over the assembly. The ancient being was silicon-based, their body appearing like a collection of crystal formations that shifted and reformed with each movement. They had led the council for longer than most species kept records. When they spoke, the chamber fell silent. We are gathered to discuss the application of humanity for Union membership, Elder Moss announced. Has raised concerns. We will hear them now. Rose from his seat. His scales caught the light as he descended to the central platform, standing across from the humans. Thank you, Elder Moss. His voice echoed through the chamber. I do not question human intelligence or human technology. I question human nature. He activated a display that showed the test results from the research facility. Images of Sung surviving extreme temperatures, enduring pain levels that should have been impossible, recovering from wounds at incredible speed. These are not the capabilities of a peaceful species, declared. These are the capabilities of apex predators. Humans evolved on a death world where only the deadliest survived. They have no natural weapons because they did not need them. They are the weapon. Murmurs rippled through the chamber. Sung felt Hana tense beside him. Consider what this means, continued. A human soldier could fight in environments that would kill our troops. A human invader could sustain wounds that would stop any of our warriors and keep coming. They feel pain but ignore it. They are damaged but continue. How do we defend against an enemy that does not stop? We are not enemies, Sung said, stepping forward. We came here seeking friendship. Words, dismissed. Pretty words from a soft-looking face. But underneath that soft face is a creature that walked through poison gas and survived. A creature that can lose half its blood and remain standing. A creature that evolved to endure anything the universe throws at it. He turned to the council. I move that we deny human membership until we can be certain of their intentions. Elder Moss's crystalline form shifted. Before we vote on this motion, we must complete the assessment. The psychological evaluation has not yet been conducted. Please proceed. Rose from his seat and joined them on the platform. He carried a data tablet but did not look at it. His compound eyes were fixed on the humans. For this evaluation, I will ask questions, explained. The council will observe your responses and judge accordingly. Sung nodded. We are ready. The first questions were simple, problem-solving scenarios, resource allocation challenges. Sung and Hana answered them easily, demonstrating logical thinking and cooperative approaches. Then the questions became harder. Scenario said, your ship crashes on an unknown planet. Resources are limited. There are 12 survivors, but supplies will only support 8. What do you do? Sung considered this. We ration, we search for more resources, we find a way to make 12 work. What if there is no way? What if 8 is the absolute maximum? Then we work to expand that maximum. We build, we create. We do not accept impossible until we have exhausted every option. And if every option truly is exhausted? Hana spoke up. Then we ask for volunteers. Humans have a long history of sacrificing themselves for others. Someone would choose to give their portion to save another. Interjected, you would let members of your own species die. We would honor those who chose to die so that others could live, Hana replied. There is a difference. Continued with more scenarios. Each one tested the limits of human psychology. Each one pushed toward the question the council really wanted answered. What do humans do when pushed to the edge? Tell us about human history, Elder Moss requested. We have studied your data files, but we wish to hear it from you. How did humanity survive? Sung took a deep breath. This was the question he had been waiting for, the question that would determine everything. We almost did not survive, he began. Multiple times in our history, humanity came close to extinction. Ice ages that froze our world, plagues that killed millions, wars that nearly destroyed us. He paused. But every time we came back, not because we were strong, because we refused to stop. Explain, Elder Moss said. Humans have a word, resilience. It means the ability to recover from difficult conditions. Our bodies have it, as you have seen, but our minds have it too. We experience trauma, loss, disaster, and we keep going. We rebuild. We try again. Hana stepped forward to stand beside him. I would like to share a personal story if the council permits. Elder Moss nodded. 3 years ago, Hana said, there was an earthquake in my country. Buildings collapsed. Thousands were trapped. The rescue teams worked for 72 hours without rest. They knew that after 3 days the chances of finding survivors dropped dramatically, but they kept searching. She looked around the chamber. meeting the eyes of as many council members as she could. On the fourth day, they found a child. She was buried under concrete, injured and dehydrated. The rescuers worked for 16 more hours to free her. They did not sleep. They did not eat. They pushed their bodies past every reasonable limit because one child was still alive. Hana's voice was steady but filled with emotion. That is what humans do. We do not give up, not on ourselves, not on each other. Ambassador, Elder Moss addressed Sung directly. You personally entered a toxic environment to save workers you had never met, species that were not your own. Why? Sung answered without hesitation. Because they needed help, that is reason enough. But you could have died. Yes. And that did not stop you. No, it did not. Made a frustrated sound. This proves my point. Humans will throw themselves into danger without hesitation. They will push through any obstacle. Imagine what they could do if they turned hostile. Imagine what they could do as allies, countered quietly. The chamber fell silent. All eyes turned to the medical director. I have studied humans for a week, continued. I have measured their bodies and observed their behavior. Sees a threat, I see something different. He turned to face the full council. I see a species that uses its resilience to help others. Ambassador could have stayed safe. He chose to save strangers. Doctor could have rested. She chose to work until every patient was treated. 1 week of observation proves nothing, argued. Perhaps not, but consider this. Pulled up new data on the display. In the past week, I have researched human history. Their wars are terrible, yes, but for every war there are 100 stories of humans helping each other. Humans crossing oceans to bring food to starving strangers. Humans building hospitals in foreign lands. Humans adopting children from other nations, other cultures, other backgrounds, and loving them as their own. He turned to the humans. Why do you help those who cannot help you in return? Hana smiled softly. Because helping others is how we survived. Alone we are soft, together we are strong. Cooperation is not just our strategy, it is who we are. Elder Moss's crystal form pulsed with light. I have a question for the council. If a species this resilient wanted to conquer us, would they send 2 diplomats and submit to our examination? Or would they send armies? The question hung in the air. Humans could have come to us with weapons, Elder Moss continued. Instead, they came with open hands. They could have hidden their abilities. Instead, they allowed us to study them. They could have let our workers die. Instead, one human risked his life to save them. Scales shifted uncomfortably. The risk remains. All alliances carry risk, Elder Moss replied. The question is whether the potential benefit outweighs that risk. The ancient being turned to Sung. Ambassador, if humanity is accepted into the Union, what do you offer us? Sung thought carefully before answering. We offer our hands for building, our minds for solving problems, our hearts for friendship. He looked at, not with anger, but with understanding. And our bodies for protection. We know what it means to be afraid. We know what it means to face danger that seems impossible to survive. If any member of this union faces such danger, we will stand with them. Not because we are fearless, but because we know that no one should face the darkness alone. The chamber was silent. Elder Moss spoke. The final vote will be held tomorrow after the council has deliberated, but I believe there is one more test to be conducted, not by us but by fate. An alert suddenly flashed across the chamber's displays, a distress signal from a colony world at the edge of Union space. Raiders were attacking. The colony's defenses were failing. Military response is 3 days away, an aide reported. The colony will not survive that long. Sung turned to Elder Moss. Send us, we will hold until help arrives. Stared at him. You would fight for a union that has not yet accepted you. Sung met the eyes. We would fight for people who need help. That is who we are. Elder Moss made a decision. Let them go. Let us see what humans truly are when the darkness comes. The colony world burned beneath them as the shuttle descended. Sung could see fires spreading through the settlement, buildings collapsed, and small figures running through the streets. The raiders had already done terrible damage. 12 humans had volunteered for this mission. 12 against an unknown number of attackers. It should have been suicide. But Sung had seen the determination in their eyes. They knew what they were getting into. Landing zone is hot, the pilot announced. Multiple hostiles in the area. Land anyway, Sung ordered. We do not have time to be careful. Hana checked her medical kit one more time. She would not be fighting, but she would be saving lives. That was her role. That was her purpose. Sat in the corner of the shuttle, his scales dull under the dim lighting. He had insisted on coming as an observer. The council wanted a first-hand account of human behavior in combat. "You are really going to do this," said. It was not a question. "We really are," Sung confirmed. "Why, you have nothing to gain. The Union has not accepted you. These colonists are strangers." Sung smiled. "We have had this conversation before. The answer has not changed." The shuttle touched down hard. The doors opened, and the 12 humans rushed out into chaos. The raiders were a species known for their brutality. They had 4 arms, each ending in razor-sharp claws. Their bodies were covered in bony plates that served as natural armor. They were everything humans were not: protected, armed, and savage. The first to notice, the humans let out a screeching laugh. More soft ones to kill. It charged. Sung stepped forward to meet it. The swung all 4 arms, claws slicing through the air. One caught Sung across the chest, cutting through his uniform and into his flesh. Blood flowed. The laughed again. Then it stopped laughing. Because Sung did not fall. He did not even step back. He grabbed this arm and twisted, using leverage his body should not have been able to generate. The alien went down, and 2 other humans were on it instantly. "He is still standing," the commander observed from a distance. "Shoot him." Energy weapons fired. A bolt hit Sung in the shoulder. He spun from the impact, grunting in pain. Blood ran down his arm, but he turned back and kept moving forward. "Again," the commander ordered. More shots. Sung took one to the leg and stumbled, but he did not stop. He could not stop. Behind him, civilians were dying. The other humans spread out, engaging the raiders on multiple fronts. They fought without armor, without natural weapons, without anything except their own bodies and the simple firearms they had brought. They took wounds that should have been fatal. They kept fighting anyway. Watched from a nearby building where he had established a medical station with Hana. His compound eyes tracked the battle with growing amazement. "That one has been shot 3 times, he said, pointing to a human woman who was still on her feet, still fighting. "How is she standing?" "Adrenaline," Hana answered as she worked on a wounded colonist. "Fear and pain are powerful motivators for humans. They can push us to do impossible things. But the damage to her body. We'll catch up to her later. Right now, she is running on willpower." The battle raged for hours. The humans were outnumbered 10 to 1, but they would not break. Every time a raider thought they had killed one, the human got back up. Every time they seemed close to victory, another human appeared to block their path. Sung had lost count of his wounds. Both arms were bleeding. His leg barely supported his weight. A gash on his forehead sent blood streaming into his eyes, but he had managed to evacuate 3 groups of civilians to the medical station. That was what mattered. "Ambassador," a voice called. He turned to see the young avian he had saved on the station. His wing was still in a healing brace, but he was coordinating the local defense efforts. "There are children trapped in the eastern sector. The raiders are closing in on them." Sung did not hesitate. He ran, ignoring the pain in his leg, ignoring the blood loss, ignoring everything except the lives that needed saving. The children were huddled in a collapsed schoolroom. 12 young aliens of various species, their eyes wide with terror. Outside, 6 raiders were approaching, their claws dripping with blood from earlier victims. Sung placed himself between the children and the door. "You cannot stop us," the lead raider hissed. "You are soft, weak, 1 human against 6 of us." "1 human is enough," Sung replied. The raiders attacked. Sung fought with everything he had left. A claw ripped into his side. He kept fighting. Another slashed his arm to the bone. He kept fighting. He could not win this fight, not against 6 armored opponents, but he could buy time. He could give the children a chance to escape through the back. "Run," he gasped to the children. "Go now, find the medical station." They ran. The oldest among them, a young reptilian barely half-grown, herded the others toward the exit. They disappeared into the ruins. The raiders did not pursue them. They were too focused on the human who would not fall. "Why?" the lead raider demanded as Sung collapsed to one knee. "Why do you fight for these creatures? They are not even your kind." Sung looked up at the alien, blood streaming down his face. "That is exactly why," he said. "They needed someone to protect them. I was here. That is all that matters." The raider raised its claw for the killing blow. It never landed. Union military ships dropped out of the sky, their weapons lighting up the area. The raiders scattered, those who survived fleeing for their ships. Within minutes, the attack was over. Found Sung still kneeling in the schoolroom, surrounded by the bodies of 2 raiders he had managed to kill before going down. The human was barely conscious. He should have been dead 10 times over. "Medical team," called, his voice strange. "We need a medical team here now." Hana arrived moments later. She had been working for 9 hours straight, treating colonist after colonist. Her hands were steady as she examined Sung's wounds, but her eyes were filled with tears. "You fool," she whispered. "You impossible fool." "The children," Sung managed to ask. "Safe, all 12 of them, because of you." Sung smiled, then he passed out. He woke in the medical station 3 days later. His body was covered in bandages and healing patches. Hana was asleep in a chair beside his bed, stood at the window looking out at the recovering colony. "You survived," said without turning around. "The doctors say your wounds would have killed any other species 5 times over, but you survived." "Humans are hard to kill," Sung said weakly. Finally turned. His yellow eyes were different now. The suspicion was gone. In its place was something that looked almost like respect. "I asked you once what you would do with your resilience," said. "You answered with words. Today you answered with actions. 12 humans held back an army. 1 human shielded children with his own body. Another worked without rest to save lives." He paused. "I have been a warrior for 50 cycles. I have never seen anything like it." "We do what is necessary," Sung replied. "Nothing more, nothing less." Moved to stand beside the bed. "The council voted while you were unconscious. It was unanimous. Humanity is now a full member of the Galactic Union." Sung felt his eyes sting with tears. "Unanimous, even you." "Especially me," his rough voice softened. "You asked me once why you protect those who are not your kind. I understand now. It is not about species. It is about who you are." Hana stirred awake. When she saw Sung conscious, she grabbed his hand and squeezed. "The colony is calling you heroes," she said. "The children you saved want to meet you when you are recovered." "I am no hero," Sung protested. "I just did what any human would do." "That," Elder Moss said from the doorway, "is precisely why you are heroes." The ancient crystalline being entered the room, their form glowing softly in the dim light. "We have watched many species join the Union over the," Elder Moss continued. "Some brought technology, some brought resources, some brought military might, but humanity has brought something rarer, something more valuable." "What is that?" Hana asked. "Hope." Elder Moss moved closer to the bed. "You have shown us that strength is not measured in armor or claws. It is measured in the will to keep going, and the choice to use that will for others. Appeared at the doorway, his damaged wing now mostly healed. Behind him stood a dozen young aliens, the children from the schoolroom. They looked at Sung with something like wonder. "The soft one who saved us," one whispered to another. "He took all those hits and did not die." "Because humans are not soft," corrected gently. "They just look that way. Inside, they are made of something stronger than any armor, something that cannot break." Sung looked at the children, at his colleagues, at the alien who had become something like a friend. He thought about the test results, the battles, the lives saved. "Armors protect the body," he said quietly. "Humans protect each other. That is what keeps us going. That is what makes us strong." Elder Moss nodded, their crystals chiming softly. "Perhaps the galaxy has needed species like you for a long time, soft enough to care about the pain of others, strong enough to do something about it." Outside the window, the colony was rebuilding. Humans and aliens worked side by side, clearing debris, constructing new shelters, healing what had been broken. It would take time, but they would recover. They always did. Because that was what people did when they refused to give up, when they chose to protect instead of conquer, when they understood that true strength was not about surviving alone, but about helping others survive too. The Union had gained a new member today. But more importantly, the galaxy had gained something it had not known it was missing. The soft ones who could not be broken. The fragile creatures who would not stay down. The humans,